All right, one and all, welcome to Off the Rail Sports Podcast. I'm John, and if you could kindly hit that like and subscribe button. I am here with the host with the most, Scott. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Checking out the F1 practices. I'm checking out some PGA. I'm checking out hockey.
Oh, we're
Checking
gonna
out
get
all
to it all.
baseball.
Oh, we're gonna get
College
to it
college
all.
rankings. We're I think we're seventh right now. The
That's
OSU.
Oregon State. Okay,
Yeah,
Oregon
that's right.
State.
Yeah, Oregon
A lot of
State.
people might think OSU is Ohio State.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
we're
or
not all cool on the PNW. Okay,
right.
kid.
Or
All right.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. When you Google it, they're not the first to come up.
They're probably about sixth, but yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, let us go into the world of motorsports. F1 is making its trek back to Italy, and I don't know if there's really a lot of situations in sports in America we can really understand about F1 going to Italy at the home of Ferrari. And Ferrari has had a really substandard year. They're not doing well. This is coming off a year where they were within 14 points of the constructors' title. They got Lewis Hamilton back in the fold. Leclerc was looking really good. But honestly, Scott, and you called this at the beginning of the season, McLaren has just squished them like a bug. They are
They are.
just getting crushed.
Yeah, I was looking into something. Apparently, everybody's looking into it. That there's some type of material that they're using in their brake system that is cooling down their tires as they're driving, and it's not illegal. Like Red Bull and all these other teams are questioning what they're using, and apparently, whatever thing they're using is able to cool down, and they're able to keep the tires cooler so they can run faster lap times without burning up the tires. So, they're trying to identify where this heat element is. Like, it's amazing how they got so many things trying to track this car down to see what they're doing different.
Yeah, I remember them talking about instituting that in China. They were doing something with the brake system and they thought it was going to deal with tire wear and tear and stuff like that. And they're always looking for an edge, right? They're
Yeah,
never going
yeah.
to
I mean,
stop.
yeah. If you got to find where you can cheat or wherever you can push it, right?
You're right.
And
Push the
and
limits.
and Red Bull's going, hey, we didn't know we're allowed to do this, and they're saying, well, there's nothing that says you can't use this material. And
Yeah.
apparently, it's turning like into liquid and it cools down the tire really quick or something.
Well,
They're,
McLaren doesn't seem to be saying anything, so it tells me that they're already there.
yeah,
Right? I mean, let's call it what
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Red Bull is in free fall right now. And hey man, that's just the nature of sports. Once you're on top, then you find out your way to the bottom. But
yeah,
McLaren ain't saying a word and they are just dominating on dominating and they're coming back to Italy, which is 70 kilometers away from the Ferrari factory. This is Ferrari's home.
yeah,
This is their game 7
yeah.
and they're just having a terrible year.
Yeah, this is Michigan. This is Michigan. When the
Right.
boys go race in Michigan, Ford and Chevy want to win there. This is it for Ferrari. They want to win there. There's a big old circle in this. And Ferrari came in with a whole new setup. Like,
Right.
they just scrapped everything because apparently their driver styles doesn't meet up with the type of way they built up the car. So whatever breaking point or whatever is designed is not working to Lewis Hamilton's style, and it's actually hurting the car. So they're having to redo it all.
Absolutely. I'm watching what's going on, and Leclerc doesn't seem happy there. And I'm wondering at the end of this year, is he going to peel off or is Hamilton going to peel off? Because it doesn't seem in that ecosystem like they both can get along. They both think they're the number one driver and they are
Right,
not giving anything. Lewis Hamilton, Leclerc backed off, Hamilton passed him, then Hamilton backed off and Leclerc passed him. And now they're at the point of, hey, I did one for you, you do one for me. I'm not giving away. Right. I'm
right,
not.
right.
And to me, that seems like if you look at any motorsports team, there's a number one guy.
Always.
If you look at Hendrick, I don't know if you ever remember that team, but Jeff Gordon was the top guy, and Jimmy Johnson finally climbed there and said, "Okay, it's my turn." And then
Oh,
Jeff Gordon
yeah,
faded away. Right? I mean,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you're second in the drivers' meeting, right?
Yeah, I remember the race at Martinsville where they were going toe to toe with each other and just not giving an inch. And then that was the big headbutt of Jimmy Johnson going, "Oh, sorry, buddy, you're second fiddle."
Right,
You know,
right,
that was it. And then he took his pit crew from him because
sure,
we're gonna win the title. See you, bud.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
And, and the irony of it is Jeff Gordon owned part of his car.
yeah.
Yeah,
Still, yeah, yeah. Still does. Isn't that
still
insane?
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we're coming off a race in Miami where Leclerc finished 57 seconds behind Piastri. Hamilton got eighth place. Is this a team that is going to even be a threat in Italy, Scott?
No, 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 no. If one of them get top five, they're gonna be excited.
Right. Yeah,
Let's
they're
get that
hoping for a
straight.
podium now, right? That's
Yeah,
what they're
yeah.
looking for.
They're looking at two different tire managements and who's gonna go on the A or the B or the C. Because that seems to be their talk of which way they're gonna do their pit strategy, A, B, or C. Sometimes they throw in a D, but you know,
Right.
are they gonna try to run hard tires and do one stop? Or are they gonna do, the intermediate tires and do two stops? I mean, that's where it's at. It's like. You know,
I,
they, I
yeah,
love listening to the crew chief at 100%, 100%, needs you to run 95%.
right,
you know,
right.
you know, if the dude was going and he thought he was 100%, and then his crew chief comes over and goes, needs you to run 100%. He's like, oh my God, how much faster do I got to go into this
Right,
turn?
right, exactly. Exactly. You know, I think at the end of this year we could see some serious upheaval in F1 like we've never seen. I do not think Verstappen is happy with Horner over at Red Bull. I definitely think there's going to be a split at the Ferrari team. I wouldn't be surprised if
Yep.
Verstappen moved over there. I don't know what's going to happen.
You
You
you want
know,
to talk about no loyalty? You talk
yes,
F1.
yes.
There is no 5-year, 2-year, 3-year contract. No, it's race by race.
Liam Lawson, how you
Yeah.
doing? You can
How
have
you
the number
doing?
2 seat until the third race, and then sorry, we're going
Sorry.
to send
Sorry,
you to
kid.
AAA. Yeah,
Sorry, kid. Sorry, kid.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, Johnny. Sorry,
Sorry.
Johnny.
I didn't
Okay.
want this. They wanted this.
Exactly.
First
All
blood.
right. Do you
Just in
got any
case
picks
nobody
for
knows.
F1? Do you got any picks for F1 other
I
than
mean, I mean,
McLaren?
yeah. Yeah. I like the young kid. What's his name? Hamilton's
Antonelli?
replay. Yeah, I like him. I like him a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
I can see him snagging one there.
All right. I personally I thought Lando Norris on McLaren was starting out the year really strong. It does seem like Piastri has kind of found his rhythm. I mean,
Yep.
it's kind of hard to even look at anybody other than Piastri, but
Yep.
we
Norris
shall
was
see. Yeah.
Norris was P1 in first practice. I don't. He
I
was
understand.
P2. He was there.
I
So
I know
hey,
it's
there
McLaren
is
and
not.
McLaren.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really change once they start racing.
No, it
It
really
does.
doesn't.
That's why the tire strategy is so big over there.
It's kind of like how it used to be in Indy with Penske, right? I
Yep.
mean, I was looking at the odds for Indy, and if you take out Penske and Childress, there's literally it's me and you, buddy. We're
Yeah.
riding in the Subaru
Yeah. We got
because
it.
there's
We
nobody
got it.
else. I'm not saying
Right.
nobody's going to win,
Right.
okay, but if you take out those two teams, there's nobody left, and that's
Hey,
kind of like F1. You
I
got
got some
McLaren and
special
Red
tires
Bull.
for you.
Yeah,
Yep.
you do. Yeah, you do. And you got that special brake. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very
Yeah.
much. All right, let's move over to NASCAR. All Star weekend. I got to be honest with you, Scott. This is just a money race. I could
It
really care
is.
less. Let's
Yeah.
move on. You go.
Yeah.
You got some thoughts?
I mean, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a supposedly crash fest, but I don't see it happening. That track is known for history for crash festing because that's what it was grown on. But these men are just two gentlemen. You're either gonna see Joey Logano take off and win it, or you're gonna see Chase Elliott take off and win it. That's my prediction.
You know, you have been very, very good with predictions, and anybody who really wants to know what's going on in motorsports, you need to listen to Scott and like and subscribe too. But I got a question, and I am not attacking you, but why is NASCAR running this race at 8 o'clock on Sunday night on the East Coast?
I have no idea. I have
Fair
no
enough.
idea.
Fair enough.
Dale Jr. might have said it on his podcast, and they went for it. That's all I can
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. We didn't really get to talk about this. Brian and I talked about it on another podcast. What do you think about Pete Rose getting reinstated to be in the Hall of Fame, Scott.
About freaking time, man. This guy has so many records. He is the face of baseball. That guy gave his blood and sweat to baseball. Yeah, he was betting. He made some errors. There's a lot of people made errors, but you know, it was just a matter of time. I really believe the guy should be in it. And to wait for the guy to die, okay, whatever. The family's going to be there to be for it, but that guy is legacy. Let's get that straight. He made some mistakes after he got,
He's
management
made some
reasons.
mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we can just go back to 1995 and say OJ made an error one night.
Hey,
I mean,
hey.
come on, Scott.
That's just like some people saying some people hit a building. Like, come on.
Oh my God. As far as I'm concerned, you and I are on opposite sides of the road. Obviously, the public is with you. I understand it.
Once
Pete,
again,
Pete agreed.
the people are with me.
Yes, the people are with you. Pete Rose agreed to the ban for 15 years. He said he never bet until he put out an autobiography where he made some money. Then all of a sudden he bet. At the end of the day, Pete, the thing that made him great is what ended up being his ultimate destruction. He never said never. And
Never.
he was always ruthless on the field. And in his personal life, he said, I am never going to admit I did wrong. Never, never, never. Like some certain political figures that we live under the R. I'm never going to admit a mistake. And honestly, Pete Rose would be in the Hall of Fame if he would have said, I screwed up, because this is a nation of second choices, second
Yeah,
chances. And if he would have come clean and said, hey, I screwed up, let me in. And I also, the other thing I am kind of interested in, I think he's going to get in December of 2027. But the one thing that people are not talking about in media at all is he agreed to walk away from baseball, but he also got baseball to agree not to release the Dowd report. And it has never really been released. What is
right.
in there? And I wonder, at some point, is this going to get leaked to the New York Times, the
Oh
LA
yeah.
Times, the Washington Post? Well, they've hit it for literally almost 35 years,
Yeah, I
right? I
mean,
mean,
but yeah, they hit
okay.
a lot of stuff about JFK and it finally came out too. Come on.
Well, I'm not sure. What really did? I looked at that report and I go, okay, yeah, you said something came out, but I don't see anything. Okay, I think I'll watch Oliver Stone's JFK to get the real story, right?
Little black lines all over the place.
All right.
But
So,
he had a bunch of records. You can't tear that away from the guy right
but they're
there.
in the Hall of Fame. Like
Yeah,
there's a plaque saying
yeah.
he just doesn't have the statue.
Well,
He
then
doesn't.
eliminate all that. Then, if yeah, how can you go with both sides? Then, how can you have one part
Well,
saying here's his record,
look.
rip it out?
Shoeless Joe Jackson has records in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They are a historical thing. The Hall of Fame is for players of exceptional sportsmanship, ability, records. There's a whole litany of things that
Hey,
go on, right?
how do we know he doesn't set a record for how many losers he had on betting? Like we don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Hey,
You know?
do you remember at LAX when he came walking up and I said, "Hey, you want to put a bet on this?" Remember that?
He, yeah, he made a
And then
living on. Yeah, he made a
and then
living
you
on
named
that.
called me and you pulled me away and you said, why would you say that to him? I'm like, come on, it's Pete Rose. He's on his way
Yeah.
to Vegas. He's on his way to some Vegas to sign baseballs because he can't make
Or
his mortgage.
Cooperstown. Or Cooperstown. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's get over to the National Hockey League. We
Ooh.
got two series that finished. The Canes dominated the Capitals. I think we both predicted that. Edmonton beat Vegas decisively. We got Florida and Dallas still at 3-2. What do you have any thoughts on the playoff system?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, but you're starting to see, the Canes are a smothering type of team that rely on the whole entire team. They're gonna smother you out. They're gonna wait on you. You know, that's one great boring way to watch hockey. And then you got the Edmonton Oilers. They're just going to scream down there and make all kinds of passes. You saw the fastest player on ice go from 200 feet and catch up to players and knock the puck out of their hands before they were able to shoot on net and then crash into the boards.
Yeah.
Hughes does that and he has a broken collarbone. This guy hits the boards, you know, skates back to the bench, walks in. Everybody thinks he's done. They're trying to talk to him, and he's just staring at the ice, spitting blood and waiting to get back out there. That
Yeah.
guy is on a mission to win the cup,
Yep. He
the
sure is.
hardest trophy to win.
Well,
If that was a soccer player, they'd be calling a timeout and 5 ambulances would be showing up and giving
it's
CPR.
actually stretchers, but thank you.
Whatever. Hey,
Hey,
I gotta shoot it all the way up to the top, buddy. Come on.
hey.
And,
So, who's
yeah.
going to the finals? Who's going to the cup?
I still like Florida and Edmonton. That's my guys right there.
And you got
Uh,
Edmonton winning it? I got Florida winning it.
I got I got on both sides. I got Florida and
Okay.
Edmonton.
All right. All
Hey, you
right.
got
All right.
may he rest in peace, my good friend Scott Davis.
God
He
bless him.
says you always pick a team on the West and you pick a team on the East. That way you have something to root for at the end.
That's why in the Super Bowl I bet on heads and tails for the opening flip. I'm going to get something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta get a winner. You gotta get a winner somewhere.
I am going to tell you, and I'm the guy who picked Florida in the NCAA tournament, even though I bet on god dang Houston.
Ah,
I'm going to tell you something. After game 3, I thought Toronto was going to just take Florida and beat them like a step kid. And I have seen them the last couple games. They are insane. They literally have elevated not one, but 2 levels. They are smothering, they are dominating. I don't see anybody beating Florida in the
yeah,
Stanley Cup.
I agree. They got a bunch of goons and they got a bunch of talent.
Yeah,
That's what Edmonton doesn't have. They don't got all the goons.
right.
You know, they don't got
And
it.
the Carolina Florida series is going to be a very big defensive series. I think it's going to come down to power plays. Who can be more efficient on the power plays? But I don't think Carolina can win the 5-4 game. They
Right.
win the 3-2 game, the 2-1 game. Florida can do it both ways. They got Reinhardt. They got some talented skill players.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent. Hold on. It's all right, Bubba. Tell them to be quiet, okay?
All
Sorry,
right.
I gotta be a
It's
little
the
dude.
president. It's the
Yeah,
president.
hey, the
It's Pete
president.
Rose's family
Yeah,
calling Scott
yeah,
saying thanks.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you, buddy.
yeah. That's the little dude checking on me because the dogs are being
Yeah.
a little too loud. Hey, well, we can't afford our high-end studios. Look at
Yeah.
Jay's at a little league park.
Yes.
Trying to get the little league stats so he can get paid a little extra cash. This
Yeah.
guy right here is always on the move, trying to make a little
Yes.
extra dough.
Always
Eh,
moving.
always
Jazz
on the move and
hands.
go.
Jazz hands.
Woo,
Yeah.
woo, woo,
Woo.
yeah, woo, woo.
Yeah, exactly. All
Um,
right. Go ahead.
but is my question is to you: what is a gentleman's sweep, and why is Dallas being so nice and holding punches back and letting the Jets win at home?
Look, obviously Winnipeg is a really good team. They have the
Yeah,
best goaltender.
yeah,
They have the guy. At the end of the day, it is hard to win 4-1. It really is. Even if you are superior, it's hard to win. Honestly, they're going to win 4-2. Dallas
yeah.
is going to take the series. Okay, so be it. Winnipeg was the number 1 seed. They put up a
That's a
good
kiss
fight.
of death. That is the kiss of death.
It
Number
is.
one seed, kiss of
Amen.
death.
Amen.
Speaking of number one seed, Kyle Larson, number one at the split. There hasn't been a title winner for like 12 years
No.
that came out of the number one. And especially since they switched the whole rules package about how to win the title.
Right. Right. Kyle Larson, I don't know. To me, I'm looking at the title and we're going back to NASCAR here. It's just I will say this in the last 4 years, it's like the third or fourth choice in the final race has won it. I think it was 2 years ago, Logano won it. He was the third choice. It is just a weird thing what NASCAR has. It
It is.
definitely,
It
and I
is.
think Kyle Larson has a lot. He is the best driver on the circuit. Denny Hamlin, you could make the argument this year, the way he's coming around. But if you get that guy on a mile-and-a-half track, I'd rather take
Yeah.
Kyle Larson than the rest of the field.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, you got to hold on because we're off the rails. Sports
Yeah.
podcast. Like and
Yeah, we're off the
subscribe.
rail.
That's why we go everywhere. Okay. Hockey to NASCAR. We're back to hockey, boys.
Now we're back to hockey. You don't know
Yeah.
what's coming. All right,
Yeah.
let's real quickly check in with the PGA Championship, the second major of
Vargas.
the year. Yeah, Jonathan Vegas set the opening round 7 under. He was, wait for it, he was 250 to 1 to be the leader after the first round.
Woo.
Yeah.
Good thing you got
No,
that,
and
huh?
nobody bet it. Even his own
Oh,
family didn't bet it, right? They were on Rory. I would
yeah.
say that most of the big players didn't really fire in the first round. Scotty Scheffler was 2 under. Everybody else was either at even par or over par. We're going to see how it all shakes out. But man, that course, that is a monster, Scott.
It is a monster. A lot of people are getting wet right now.
Yeah, like Scott, I think you'd have a hard time shooting par there. You're the better
Oh, yeah.
golfer between the two of us, but
Yeah.
I think you'd have some challenges there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, the little foot wedge, you know what I mean? Get that little foot wedge, you know what I mean?
Hey, I saw Justin Thomas go take off his shoes
Yeah.
and his socks and got in the creek and hit
And
an
they,
amazing shot.
yeah, they said, what is he doing? Don't just take the drop. And then they're like, oh, that was a great shot. You know,
Yeah.
there is nothing better than watching a professional golfer than watching somebody tell you how what they should be doing and go, oh,
Yes.
yeah. And
Right.
then knowing that there's no way in hell they could have done that. No
Right.
way in hell. You know,
Right.
I'm
Right.
listening to these ladies talking. I'm like, you have no chance. You know, why? You know, that you want to hit, pin low on this, and the majority of people all
Right.
been hitting pin high. We don't understand. Well, they're all the pros. Maybe there's a
Right.
reason why they're hitting pin high.
Right. Right.
Maybe they know that tomorrow that's where the pin's going to be. Hello,
Right.
the pin
Right.
doesn't stay in one spot. Think about it.
Right. Right.
Let's
Absolutely.
let's get to the title rounds. Let's not worry about making through. I'm going to make it. You know,
Yeah. I
and
know.
like,
I mean, you see it.
yeah,
You see on golf, the commentators are making decisions on Rory McIlroy, who's won 30 plus tournaments, 5 majors. He's won a FedEx Cup. I mean, the guy is just a monster. And yet they're saying, these guys, and that's something that's really happened in sports in the last 10 years, is they're using analytics. They're
yep,
using analytics.
yeah,
They're using
yeah,
coaches.
yes,
They are not just walking out there throwing the ball on the tee and saying, let's see what we do. They
yeah,
are always got an angle because they're trying to get better because the competition is so serious.
yeah,
I mean, think about golf. 160 people are teeing off. One guy, it's like a goalie in the NHL. One guy has to get hot, and you got a new game.
yep,
It
yep,
used to be in golf where there was 10 guys who could win a tournament. Now we're dealing with 30. And
yeah,
I don't know who all the 30 is, but nobody picked Jonathan Vegas at
right,
250 to 1
right,
to lead
right.
the first round.
Yeah. Do you remember a few years ago, the hype was about Spieth. Spieth's the next Tiger Woods.
Sure.
Spieth's the next Tiger Woods. We
Sure.
were talking about it,
Yeah.
about how they were breaking it down. Where'd he go? And now we're
Where'd
talking
he
about
go?
Scheffler being the next Tiger Woods. Everybody's looking for the next Tiger Woods that can just dominate like
Connor
that.
Bedard,
Yeah.
right? He's going to be the next McDavid, Gretzky, Lemieux, and now I'm not saying his career is floundering, but it's floundering.
Oh, it is.
Okay, whatever. It could be the system, it could be whatever, right?
Yeah. For sure. For
And
sure.
and there's a book coming out in September about quarterbacks, and it's about the history of quarterbacks. And in it, there's a revelation that Caleb Williams 2 years ago in the USC did not want to go to Chicago because he thought that was not going to be good for his skill set. Unfortunately, he didn't have a choice. They had the number one
Yeah.
pick. They weren't going to back off it. But how many great players have we seen across the array of sports who floundered? It's not always the player failed. It's the system didn't actually utilize their skills.
Yeah, but didn't one of the Manning boys was supposed to go to San Diego and he got switched to the Giants?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
his
then
dad,
and
Archie,
became,
Archie pulled it. Yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
that
and then
did.
he ended up winning the Super. We're not allowed to say that
Right.
word. The
Well,
big
no, he
game.
did. He won 2 Super Bowls. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We
and
can't
Phil.
afford that, Jay.
Oh.
We can't afford that. I warned you last time. We don't need not for long to come after us. I warned you about this. The big
I'm just
game.
going to give them your address. They know you're the one with the money. You're the guy they're going to come after, my friend. You're the guy they're going to come after. All right. You got any thoughts before we leave?
um, I will check into the Wilkesboro race just because I want to hopefully see a crash fest. I really want to see
Right.
the, but the Gen 7 car is not designed for this type of race. They really need to have two or three different cars. They're trying to say they're saving money. They're not saving money. Just
No,
let's get some real racing going on,
that
you
would be
know.
nice.
But
And let's not run it at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night,
yeah,
on a
yeah,
regular weekend, right? I
yeah,
mean, you got kids, you're hoping to get the next ecosystem, and they got to go to bed because they got to go to school. This just in NASCAR. Some people actually work on Monday.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I think there's like A and B qualifiers. Like it's not a full field, so
I
there is
know it
going to be
isn't.
racing. Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, congratulations.
Yeah. Hey, 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 hey,
Okay, they got a
hey.
pregame on the
This.
Super Bowl too. I don't happen to
Yeah,
catch that either, but thank
yeah.
you.
Well, you're missing out on that because they got some bets on that too.
I know I got a lot of missing out on. All right, I want to make a note for everybody out there. Life comes and life goes, and there's just different paths. I think for right now, brother Scott is probably not going to be able to do the same schedule with the podcast. And I got to tell you, Scott, you are an integral part of this system. You are welcome back whenever the world lets you come back in. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being such a good friend, being an amazing podcaster, and putting so much energy into this. I really can't thank you enough. And I want the world to know Scott is the best. He is a wonderful friend. He's one of the best friends I've ever had in my life. He is loyal. He is smart. He is everything. He's the wrong political party, but we got to get that off the level, right? But I just want to say, Scott, whenever you could come back, we welcome you with open arms. This is you and me. This is me and Brian. This is you and me and Brian. And I want to tell you, I can't thank you enough, like I said, from the bottom of my heart, for all the sacrifices, all the time, and all the effort you've put into this situation. That's
Thanks,
it.
Jay. Thanks, Jay. I mean, we won't be doing three a week, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
I
we
understand. Well,
will be
we're going
getting
to
at least
figure out a
one.
schedule. We're going to figure
Yeah,
out a schedule, but life has come
yeah.
in, and right now we're good. The typical schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday is kind of gonna get thrown up in the little mixer, the blender we call it. We call
The
it
blender,
in this
the blender.
on the street. It's the blender. Okay, Scott. We're going to
Yeah,
see what comes out. That's where
yeah,
you put all the healthy ingredients in there, and then
yeah.
then something comes out that you wouldn't god awful give to your worst enemy.
Right,
Okay, but you
right,
say it's healthy.
right.
It's
It's
healthy.
healthy.
Okay.
Well,
You're going
yeah.
to throw up for 2 days, but don't
I,
worry about it.
yeah, I don't got the clap. All right, let's just let's relax, okay? I just there's
Well, maybe Robert
there,
Kennedy has said that's better than vaccines. I don't know, man. All
but
right, man. All
good
right.
times as always, my
Good.
friend.
All
Good
right.
times.
All right. Everybody hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon on Off the Rails.
Do 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 do.